listening to the Blue Raider Podcast, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. Your all-access pass to everything Middle Tennessee sports, game recaps, player spotlights, and the latest from the heart of Blue Raider Nation. Now, here's your host, Jake Golden.
Welcome back into the Blue Raider Podcast. Today's Friday special episode, we go behind enemy lines with our friends over at Paws Up Podcast. Jake Gibson, he's going to tell us everything we need to know about the Panthers ahead of Saturday's kickoff. But before we do that, we need to thank today's sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Gold's Gym of Tennessee, and the new year is coming, and so are your resolutions. So Gold's Gym of Tennessee is here to help you hit the ground running with brand new month-to-month pricing starting November 1st. And the best part, there's no fees. Ever. So pick the plan that fits your crew. You can go gold for one member at $25 bi-weekly, or you and your partner can upgrade to the VIP, which is $35 billed bi-weekly, or you and your family, good enough for 3 members, is just $45 bi-weekly. And here's another perk. All the memberships include access to all 16 Gold's Gym locations. So whether you're lifting, spinning, or training for a brand new you, they've got you covered with all of their locations across the state of Tennessee. So don't wait for January 1st to start your resolution today. Join online or stop by your local Gold's Gym of Tennessee and kick off the new year with no fees and full access to fitness. Gold's Gym of Tennessee. Stronger starts now. Joining us now on the Blue Raider Podcast, it is our co-host and friend over at Paws Up Podcast, Jake Gibson. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's great to see you, Jake. We're working super hard with this CUSA podcast roundtable, getting those episodes out. We hardly get time to just say hey to each other. So it's just it's great to talk to you about this upcoming game. I know there's a lot of excitement about it for at least the FIU side, as we're looking towards a potential 6-win season, or dare I say at least an improvement from seasons past. So looking forward to this game between the Panthers and the Blue Raiders, no doubt about it.
Are you as excited as I am that midweek is over?
Yes, I like the concept of weekday CUSA. I think it's always fun the first and second week, but when the third and fourth weeks roll around, it feels like, all right, I'm ready to get back to Friday night, Saturday football as God intended. But I get why they do it. Obviously, getting some dinero for Conference USA with those TV deals. You know, it's like Maction in a sense, which is now beginning in the month of November. So. Yeah, I like it, but yeah, I'm just about ready for it to get out as we get into crunch time here in the college football season.
Well, it has delivered excellent games, that's for certain. Even MTSU, as they come up as losses, have been great games. FIU obviously has had their share of good wins in that, but as us two being the co-host of the roundtable, man, it makes the recording schedule just absolutely hectic. And Jake, my cohort here, Jake, is doing the show this week. So, of course, if you're not already following us at the Conference USA Roundtable, make sure you're doing that so you don't miss some more good content about all of Conference USA. But, Jake, we're here to talk about the Panthers coming into Murfreesboro. That kickoff is at 2 p.m. local Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern for those that are joining us from Miami. Jake, I guess give me into this game. Tell me about FIU, how we got here. I know whenever I previewed this show earlier in the week, the big story was which FIU team are we going to get? We've seen both sides of this. Tell me how FIU looks coming into this game.
It's definitely a mixed bag of results, without a doubt. Some frustrations here and there, but some genuine shocks at how well FIU has looked at times against specific opponents. But by all means, it's the first year of the Willie Simmons era here at FIU at Pitbull Stadium. Glamour aside, with the Mr. 305 deal, the Vice uniforms and all that, we have genuinely seen some good progress that this FIU football team has made in the first year of Coach Simmons compared to the last few seasons of Mike McIntyre. And I think a big part of that, and what the FIU fan base will tell you, is that if Willie was to defeat our in-state rivals in Florida Atlantic in his first season here, then he'd get the respect and love from just about everybody here at FIU, and he did that. He broke a long drought against the Owls, and then as the seasons went on, there have been some disappointing parts to it. I definitely feel like the loss to Delaware. We obviously know now Delaware is an exceptional CUSA team, but it felt like they were still on the Shula Bowl hangover after taking down Florida Atlantic. I guess I should also mention they blew out Bethune-Cookman. Nice win for them. Obviously, Willie Simmons, no stranger to taking on the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman when he was the head coach of Florida A&M. So it's kind of a unique matchup to open up the season against his rivals from FAMU. And then they look respectable against Penn State, who was obviously who was the number 2 team in the nation at that time, holding them to just 10 points at halftime. Things obviously got a little bit away from them in the third and fourth quarter, but I digress. Not a whole lot of negatives from that game overall. And then you get into the losing streak. Delaware and UConn, 2 great teams that FIU just could not match up against. And after those losses, it really felt like we had no shot against Western Kentucky, and that's what made that win over them so magical, in a sense. Maybe it was because it was our first ever watch party as well on the Paws Up Podcast, and it just happened to be that win against the Hilltoppers in Bowling Green, and that snapped another long losing streak to Western Kentucky, especially on the road whenever we take them on in Bowling Green. The last time we took them on in Western Kentucky, we lost 73-0. So yeah, to actually take them down in dominant fashion too, it got us excited, and me personally believing if we can take down one number 1 team in CUSA, we can surely do it again against Kennesaw State at home on Vice Night, nationally televised game, rocking the new all black neon jerseys. We didn't do that. We were in it though. It wasn't like the blowout wins to UConn or Delaware where I felt like we really had no shot from the get-go. We were in that game in the third quarter. It got away from us late in the third and especially in the fourth. And then Missouri State was, I would say, probably the most frustrating loss, even more than the last few, because it was such a winnable game against a team that I feel like we generally are better than in the Bears. But self-inflicted mistakes and some injuries here and there that popped up to our quarterback, Kewan Jenkins, not just against Missouri State, also against Western Kentucky. He had to step out for that game as well. That was the most frustrating loss. So here we are. We're 3-5. We're looking to, at bare minimum, reach the 4-win mark like we have been the last few seasons. Get to 5 wins. I'll consider that a success. But the FIU faithful want to go bowling. And it's going to be tough now because after Middle Tennessee, you got Liberty and Jack State at home before what could potentially be a laugher against Sam Houston to close out the season, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that's pretty much the situation now as we get into what will hopefully be one of the 2 most winnable games remaining on the schedule for FIU.
It sounds like, and this will be kind of our last part of the breaking down your guys' schedule and how we got here.
Yeah.
When we talk about it on our show this week, we thought, well, if FIU wants to go bowling, they have to win Saturday because looking at the remainder of that schedule with Liberty, Jack State, and then Sam Houston, I think at this point we can all chalk up Sam Houston, but you've got to win 2 of these next 3. So, or excuse me, you got to win. Yeah, 2 of the next 3. If you beat Sam Houston, that would get you to bowling. Yeah. So I guess it sounds like you might already be conceding that 6 wins might be out of reach, or do you think that there is a real world possibility where they can get 3 of the next 4 to go bowling?
I'm not saying it's out of reach. It's just going to be a monumental task. Thankfully, the games against Liberty and Jack State are at home. Liberty game, by the way, is our homecoming. We've seen games in which both the Flames and the Gamecocks have been put at bay, both on offense and defense against opponents this season. If we can sneak a win against either of those teams, I'm feeling a bit more confident against Liberty than Jack State, though FIU doesn't have a terrible rush defense, so if they can somehow stop Cam Cook for 4 quarters, I mean, you never know. But you win that, and then, well, first off, you have to win this game against Middle Tennessee. If you don't do that, then it feels really out of reach. So you have to beat the Blue Raiders. Sorry, Jake. But once you do that, you snag a win against either Liberty or Jack State, and you could be potentially getting your 6th win against Sam Houston, who I'm actually hoping they will have won a game by then, so that won't be the game in which they'll try to not go winless. I'm hoping they'll have won a game, but regardless, it should be probably the easiest opponent FIU will face since Bethune-Cookman, which is an FCS team. So that's pretty much the situation. I think it's possible. Will it actually happen? We're going to get a lot of answers about that this Saturday.
Certainly makes it a lot more clear of a picture anyways for what Coach Simmons can do for the rest of the way, because Jack State, for what it's worth, has been tough, has been a different team on the road. I mean, they survived in Murfreesboro, and then they blow teams out like Delaware at home. So it's a weird team that doesn't seem to travel particularly well. But let's get back to our game here. The big storyline on offense is that Kewan Jenkins went down with a quote-unquote injury, as Simmons put it in his post game there. But I know I've talked to you and your co-host Kevin about this. You think that there might be a little bit more to that than just an injury or precaution. What is the quarterback situation looking like for the Panthers on Saturday?
FIU is going to ride or die with Keywan Jenkins. If the offense really somehow struggles against Middle Tennessee, then I feel like they won't hesitate to put in Pizanski, because I think this FIU team realizes too that they want to go bowling and that there's going to be a lot on the line in this game against Middle Tennessee. But Keywan will be starting, and despite the injury quote unquote troubles he's had recently, he's actually played some solid football in these last few games. Obviously, he did more than enough to beat Western Kentucky on the road. I mean, my goodness. Kennesaw State, he looked good for the majority of the game. Kind of got some stats in a throwaway drive at the end, which makes his numbers look a little bit greater than they were. But he's been accurate more than anything else these last few games. Has not thrown too many turnovers in a while. I mean, that was one of the biggest reasons why we beat Western Kentucky. The offense as a whole did not turn the ball over in that game. Jenkins, obviously, it's his third season, was the preseason offensive player of the year for Conference USA. There have been games where he's proven why he was chosen to be that against Florida Atlantic and Western Kentucky, dare I say. But this is a strange season for FIU offensively compared to others. His receiver core is night and day different than what it was last season when he was putting Brady Tomas numbers with Eric Rivers, for example. And the offense as a whole has turned from a balanced, close to air raid offense to now it's live and die by the running game. And that's pretty much, while it hasn't put Jenkins in the backseat of the offense, it definitely is making his stats look less impressive than they maybe have been in seasons past. But Jenkins is a fan favorite here at FIU. He is from Miami Central High, won a whole lot of awards in high school. He's become one of the faces of the program. I'm sure you know this. It's difficult in modern day college football for a group of 5, group of 6 team to retain a quarterback for 3 seasons. And the fact that we've been able to do that with a guy like Keywan, who has plenty of expectations and is en route to break a whole lot of career passing records in FIU, which is obviously a very young program. The fans are in on him, and I think the players and coaches are still definitely in on him.
I'm glad you bring up years past, because I would like to think of this offense, if they had Eric Rivers and Dean Patterson, 2 top 10 CUSA wide receivers on this team in particular, I think they would be dangerous because of what we've seen with the emergence of Keyjon Owens. And that leads me to my next question for you. Outside of Jenkins, Keyjon Owens, obviously another top, I think he's second in Conference USA behind Cam Cook, who's the nation's leading rusher. So he probably is going to fall back in that limelight a little bit. But Owens has been special for you guys. Tell me some of these weapons on the offensive side of the ball that can be lethal and, again, make and kind of put this game out of reach early.
Keyjon Owens, I mean, what more can really be said about him? If it weren't for Cam Cook, we'd be looking at a first-team CUSA selection here for Keyjon Owens. He's been the heartbeat of the team, and in games where the offense has sort of faltered at times, he's been sort of a breath of fresh air here and there. He had his way against Kennesaw State, which entering that game had one of the best rush defenses in Conference USA and still dropped 166 yards on him. Now, he did kind of have a setback against Missouri State, 63 yards. The Bears found a defensive scheme that worked against Owens, but man, when he's clicking, he's a tough guy to bring down. He's a strong back that doesn't fumble the ball too often. And when we entered this season, I felt like we had a 3-headed monster in the backfield with Owens, along with Anthony Carey, who we picked up through the transfer portal, and Devontae Lyons, who was a returner. Lyons hasn't really been utilized that much, and Carey has had good rushes here and there, but I mean, all of the spotlight has been towards number 5, and for good reason, because he's that important to this offense. Receiving wise, Alex Perry has been the go-to best receiver that the Panthers have gone through, but this has been a weird season receiving wise for FIU. For pretty much the first few weeks of the season, we were still trying to figure out who the wide receiver 1 is. We haven't really had a clear-cut answer until, I want to say, maybe the Delaware game where Perry sort of emerged as one of the better guys. He also was a transfer portal pickup, and he's been a fantastic part of this team. So we have a wide receiver 1. we really don't have a bona fide wide receiver 2, 3, 4. It's pretty much a receiver by committee system we have here, where if you're hot, you'll get the ball alongside Perry. In a lot of games, it's been McGuire Anderson. In recent games, it's been Kyle McNeil and JoJo Stone. Saquon Jean-Pierre has even gotten some snaps here and there as receiver, even though he's primarily our kick and punt returner. So it's definitely receiver by committee here, aside from Alex Perry. We even get our tight ends involved, although they've been one of the most injured parts of the offense, with guys like Dallas Payne and Jackson Verdugo taking reps there at the tight end spot. So we have weapons. That I'm not saying we don't have weapons in the offense that work alongside Jenkins. We do. The two big ones being Keyshawn Owens and Alex Perry. It feels very different from seasons past. It feels weird, honestly, to see FIU be a run-first team. I'm just thankful that for the most part, it's worked out pretty well for them, I'd say.
Defensively, the Panthers are so the numbers almost are irrelevant to me, because when I look at their collective season, you look at what they did at Penn State, like you already touched on, that was still something to be admired at that time. 34 points to the number 2 team in the country. I mean, that's not nothing. And then UConn giving up 51, and then Kennesaw giving up 45. But the Western Kentucky, one of the best offenses in this conference, you hold them to 6. So when you look at the conference and you try to total up those numbers, FIU's pretty middle of the pack when it's all said and done. But I think that's because of this hot and cold nature. Where is this defense good and where are they bad, where some of these games just get so out of hand for them?
When the secondary is clicking, when the whole defense, this is pretty much for the entire team, but when the defense specifically is motivated, fired up, and ready to go from the get-go, they are one of the most lethal defenses in all of Conference USA, dare I say. That was the case against Western Kentucky, where from the start, the defense bent, but they didn't break. They forced turnovers in the red zone. And I think a big part of that boils down to the secondary, which is one of the most experienced veteran groups that the team has, with, dare I say, NFL potential talent in a lot of tenured guys like Brian Blades, Mr. Clark, Victor Evans, Josiah McGrew. This is a really experienced unit led by Anthony Gator, who was a former FIU Panther and NFL player who brings a lot of energy to this coaching staff. The trenches can sometimes be won by FIU as well. Like I said, their running game, their rush defense actually has been pretty good so far this season as well. I mean, against Nick Minicucci example for Delaware, which was the first dual threat kind of guy we've sort of taken on this season. They performed really well against him, sort of stopping him from moving around outside the pocket. But when the team as a whole in the defense is making silly self-inflicted mistakes, it just hurts the defense as a whole. And yes, I've been harping on about how great the secondary is, but they are notorious for giving up big plays as well. I mean, 270-plus yard touchdowns scored by Kennesaw State on Vice State. Granted, one of them was because I believe McGrew was injured as soon as the play started. But I digress. They are still susceptible to giving up big plays here and there. But when they're clicking, when they're in a rhythm, you get a result like you did against Western Kentucky, as well as Florida Atlantic to an extent as well, who had Veldkamp, who I'm sure you're familiar with, Jake. Another very talented quarterback in the group of 5, group of 6. And they locked him down because they have a lot of great playmakers in the secondary and in the trenches that when everything's working for them, they can get the job done on defense.
Let's transition over to our Keys to the Game segment. That's going to be sponsored by Trevor Haggard of State Farm, because when life happens, you're going to want someone in your corner who actually knows your name, and that's where Trevor Haggard State Farm comes in. Whether it's protecting your car, your home, or your family's future, Trevor and his team are right here in Murfreesboro ready to help. So don't just settle for some 1-800 number. Call a neighbor who cares. Call Trevor Haggard State Farm today at 615-203-5522 or visit their website at trevorismyagent.com and let them help you protect what matters most. Trevor Haggard State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Jake, funny enough, I have a State Farm sponsor. How many times in your life do you get, Jake, from State Farm? All the time. I can imagine what you get.
My dad got me a shirt that said that once. I think it was for my birthday like a decade ago. As soon like when that was like at its peak, that commercial. Yeah, I've heard it many times in high school. Granted, I think FIU when I was a college student, FIU, wonderful college, not a whole lot of weirdos there. I didn't hear it that often in college. And as a matter of fact, I can't remember the first time someone said that to me since right now. Jake, I honestly can't remember.
I get it on a regular basis. That's wild that you've gone on this hiatus. But I also used to work out of college. I worked at a GNC, which my uniform was khaki pants and a red shirt. So literally, I heard it probably 3-4 times a day. But let's get into these keys to the game for the Panthers. Yeah. You've got 2 keys. What do the Panthers have to do on Saturday for them to win at Floyd Stadium?
In the second half of the game against Missouri State, FIU's offense, which was led by Joe Pizanski at the time, our backup quarterback, transferred from Holy Cross. They were moving the ball down the field in Missouri State territory. And then I believe it was Kyle McNeil threw a punch after the play, personal foul, 15 yards, killed the drive. We had to punt. We were looking to score points late in the game to potentially come back and win the damn game. You need to avoid the self-inflicted penalties. They were absolutely atrocious with that against Missouri State, and one of the biggest reasons why the Bears won the damn game. In games against, again, I keep bringing up the Western Kentucky game. Not that I'm guessing you don't have a problem with me bringing up the win over Western Kentucky this much, but aside
feels like you're rubbing it in at this point.
No, I'm just saying I know how crazy the 100 miles of hate rivalry gets for one reason, because we have so many former Middle Tennessee players and coaches here at FIU. Of course, Willie Simmons, and then Julius Pierce, our center, who spent a few years there. These silly self-inflicted penalties just have to stop, because when the Panthers play mistake-free football, they are very consistent on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and special teams as well. Special teams, they've also made a lot of mistakes there with muffed punts, blocked punts, and missed field goals, missed chip shot field goals. I guess that's technically not avoid penalties, but avoid silly mistakes. The special teams, maybe above all else, needs to focus on that as well, and then get the run game going. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that. When Keyshawn Owens gets triple digit rushing yards, this FIU offense looks great. When he doesn't, they have to experiment a little bit more, throw to some questionable, I'm not going to say questionable, but some wide receivers that usually don't get that much playing time aside from Alex Perry. And when you do that, sometimes things happen. So if you get the running game early, and pretty much the whole offense, if they get going early, get some touchdowns in their first couple of drives, and don't turn the ball over, they'll be fine as well. The first couple of drives, actually the first drive for the FIU Panthers, fumble the ball, stop them on defense, and then muff the punt right after. So that was tough against the Bears as well.
Lastly, here on this segment, sponsored by Trevor Haggard from State Farm, just like him and his team can be an X factor for you and your insurance need, who is someone for the Panthers this Saturday that could be an X factor and be pivotal for them?
Mr. Clark, one of the defensive backs for FIU, he's having the season of his life with the Panthers. He didn't really get that many snaps last year, but this season they've utilized him quite a bit. And he's had a few interceptions this season for the Panthers, but he's had some of the most crucial interceptions of the season so far. Right before the end of the first half, Mr. Clark picked off Veldkamp in Florida Atlantic, which was pretty much a game-flipping interception that gave FIU a ton of momentum in the third quarter, which they absolutely ran away from FIU at that point. And in the Western Kentucky game, he got a pick in the red zone. Really great. And then he tipped a pass later on in the game that was intercepted by another defensive back. I believe it was Josiah McGrew. So this is a do-it-all player on the defense for FIU that is no stranger with either pass breakups or actually picking off the ball. And I definitely feel like if the defense will be clicking against a susceptible Middle Tennessee offense, he'll be one of the biggest reasons for that.
Well, when you mentioned Mr. Clark, I can't help but feel like, is it Mr. Clark, or is there a first name that I'm missing? But
that's
Mr. Clark, has been electric for you guys in the defensive backfield. So, again, thanks to Trevor Haggard for sponsoring our Keys to the Game and our X Factor Player of the Week. Jake, as this game line opened up, again, that's a 2 p.m. Central Time kickoff. FIU was favored by 1.5. I'm seeing on some sites it's gone the other way. MTSU is now favored by 1.5, and even some books have it as a pick 'em, which I think by the time we get to Saturday and the money has shifted around and it's gone its places, at the end of the day, this is going to be a pick 'em. I think this is as close as it's going to get. The only reason I think FIU is being shaded a little bit is because it's a road game. I don't know. I don't personally off the top of my head know FIU's road record, but I'd have to think if Vegas is looking at anything, that's probably what it is. But I want to hear from you, from your perspective. I know this week I gave my prediction. I don't trust the Blue Raiders to win until they can prove that they can win. But what is your perspective on this game? How do you see this one folding out?
Well, I understand Vegas's concern for being on the road. Before the Western Kentucky game, I think our last road win was first season that Sam Houston was in CUSA, beat him in overtime in Huntsville. That was the last time we won on the road against a CUSA opponent, to my knowledge. So I understand that, but I do feel confident that FIU can get this done if they avoid the silly mistakes and just play clean football. Even if Middle Tennessee does sort of limit Keyshawn Owens, which, again, they've proven that against the best running backs CUSA has to offer, they can do that. So maybe they will actually be able to do that against Keyshawn Owens. But even then, against Kennesaw State, which is another really well-respected rush defense, he sort of had his way with them. So I'm really interested to see how much they'll be utilizing Owens off the rip. And if they do that and they find success, then could be a long day for Middle Tennessee to stop them. And Kewan Jenkins, I think if he continues to be as accurate as he can be and not turn the ball over himself, this offense it can really be a well-oiled machine that's just reliable and kills minutes off the clock too. Once they do get a lead that they can sort of hold on to. And then defensively, I feel like well, you sort of mentioned it in the other preview we've done, but this Middle Tennessee offense has given up interceptions here and there, and against a terrifying secondary, I feel like this Middle Tennessee defense can sometimes drop the ball here and there. And when you have guys like Mr. Clark, who, when they're clicking, can create pass breakups and interceptions as well as any team, not just in CUSA, but in, dare I say, the group is 5 or 6, then both sides can work great. And I haven't even mentioned this yet, but we kind of sort of have a kicker problem. Noah Grant has been our kicker for a while now. It's either been him or Robert Saremsha, who was our backup, and he's missed some 20 to 30-yard chip shots here and there, which have been very frustrating. As a matter of fact, I mentioned the 70-yard passing touchdown we gave up against Kennesaw State. Right before that, Noah Grant missed like a 23-yard field goal. So that's been a nagging problem as of late, aside from other issues with the special teams, with having punts blocked or just not doing great coverage and allowing kick and punt return touchdowns, which they have multiple times this season so far. So if all three sides of the ball are playing mistake-free football, then I do think this can be a long night for the Blue Raiders. I'll say it. I do have FIU winning this game. But then again, I did the same thing for Missouri State and Kennesaw State and Delaware. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Well, no shame for believing in your team. Obviously, Coach Simmons has earned that respect from you and the Panther faithful. But Jake, I appreciate you, of course, for joining us this week, giving us all the feedback here and the breakdown on FIU and Coach Simmons. Real quick, as we wrap it up here, tell the fans where they can find you and where they can find more Paws Up stuff, because I know that I joined your show this week. So where can we find that upload?
Yeah, so you can follow my accounts personally at Jake the MC. Obviously, I'm covering FIU football for Lemon City Live and the Paws Up podcast. Lemon City Live, of course, being a South Florida sports media outlet that just covers all South Florida teams. You can also follow my co-host at Kevin_Barral, where he'll be providing coverage in person, I believe, as well from Floyd Stadium for this game. And, of course, at Paws Up Podcast, where you'll find all of our stuff. You'll find the preview that we did with Jake Bolden alongside my watch party for this game against Middle Tennessee, which should be a lot of fun. This will be our third watch party of the season for the road games. Our first one was Western Kentucky, and then we did one for for Missouri State too. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. So yeah, so at Jake the MC, at Kevin_Barral with 2 R's, and at Paws Up Podcast on all platforms. You can find us. And just again, thanks for having me on, Jake. It's always fun to talk to you, my man.
Well, this will be the tiebreaker for your watch party. So I hope that doesn't end in the Panthers' favor, of course. But I once again, thanks to you. I look forward to seeing Kevin this week. And thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in to today's episode. If you're not already, make sure you're following us on all of our social media at Blue Raider Pod. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And of course, if you're listening to us on YouTube at Blue Raider Pod, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another one of our uploads. Tomorrow at the conclusion of the game, we'll have our live press conference with Coach Mason and select players. And then we'll have our reaction show with yours truly and Brett Walker, who previewed this game with us on Tuesday. But once again, I appreciate you for tuning in. And until next time, go Blue.